The following stories are based on real-life events. The names of the people and companies involved have been changed to protect the safety of the storyteller. These accounts may be shocking, but are 100% true. Viewer discretion is advised. What is up, everybody, and welcome to Tales from Sales. On today's episode, the pilot episode of this series, I will be telling you about a man who, despite having 3 little children with him, could not control his rage. A man who would do anything to remove $7 worth of late fees. In order to set this story up properly, I have to take you back to 2005 when I worked for a second-rate movie rental company. The names, of course, will be removed, so you will have to guess for yourself. Now, I worked for this company as the manager for about 2 years, and during that time, I experienced all sorts of walks of life, as it were. I experienced every member of every different genre of society. On this particular night, it was a Friday night, and I was working with a friend and a coworker. And as usual, we had a long line because it was Friday night. And when this particular gentleman approached the counter with his 2 small boys, he had several movies in his hand, and he placed them on the counter. Now, whenever he placed them on the counter, he looked a little nervous. He looked a little anxious as to the verdict that we were about to give him. So whenever we pulled up his account and saw that he in fact had past due charges from the previous weeks. Now, if you're not familiar with how movie rental places work, since they're pretty much a thing of the past nowadays, whenever you rent a movie, you have a certain time period to bring it back, just as if it were a library. Only difference is in a movie rental place, the fees are a little bit heavier. In our case, every day that you had the movie out past the due date, it was an additional $1. This man had racked up a week of charges on one movie. So he had a charge of $7. And whenever we informed him of this, the coworker that was with me was actually ringing him up. And when he informed the customer of this particular fee, the customer immediately became irate. Now, this man was in his 40s. He looked somewhat like a leprechaun. No offense to anyone out there that looks like a leprechaun, because that's just me explaining to you what he did in fact look like. Now, being that he was probably in his 40s and looked like a leprechaun, he was already a little overbearing, as it were. He was a short man with fiery red hair on top and a fiery red beard. But the fact that he had 3 small children with him kind of, put me at ease. What's this guy going to do? He has his children with him. Well, as soon as the coworker informed him that he had indeed had a late fee, the customer, like I said, became irate and immediately informed us that he was not going to pay the $7 late fee. When my associate informed him that he could not, in fact, rent those movies that he had in his hand and had placed on the counter, he became even more irate. He began swearing at my associate, the one that was working for me, in front of the rest of the line of customers. Now, me being the manager at the time and being in a busy store, I had to step in at that point and try to assist the situation. Now, I had to try to get the man to calm down a little bit in order for him to not make a scene. As soon as I stepped in and explained to the man that he would not, in fact, be able to rent movies if he did not pay his late fee, he immediately went from not paying his late fee to saying, "Would you like to step outside?" Which I came back with, "I'm sorry, what was that?" And he said, "Would you like to step outside and settle this like a man?" Now, I was 25 years old at the time, and I did not really want to step outside with a 40-year-old man in front of his children and have to scrape him off the sidewalk because I'm a boss. So I informed him that, "No, sir, I would not like to step outside with you." To which he replied, "Oh, yes, you're going to step outside with me, and I'm not going to pay these late fees." Now, this man had 3 small children with him, like I said, probably 3, 5, and 7 maybe, and I informed him that I was not about to take him outside in front of his children and that he should be ashamed of himself. The man would not stop. He did not want to leave the store. I informed him that I had to call the cops if he did not leave, and actually a customer that was behind him in line had to remove him from the store. Otherwise, he was going to make a scene for the rest of the night. He said that he wasn't going to leave the store until I went outside with him to fight him. This is a grown 40-year-old man with 3 small children with him trying to fight me over $7 worth of late fees. I have never been more embarrassed for society in my life than on that night. That man made a complete fool out of himself in front of his children, and I hope his children will remember that. The moral of the story is, bring things back on time. Be responsible for your own decisions and actions. Otherwise, you end up on a YouTube video talking about how much of an ass you were. This has been the first episode of Tales from Sales. If you have any horror stories or any kind of retail story that you would like to share, please feel free to do so in the comments section below. And until next week, stay classy.